Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right, welcome to episode 150 of CPG Vibes. Hope everyone is doing well out there. Wade, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Alex. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'd like to open up the show, a couple different things. Number one, we have our sponsor for this episode, really good friend of mine, Webb Knudsen, and the name of his company is Plaper. And we're going to talk about more about him. But he has a WeFunder campaign, which yours truly, Genius Streams, we helped on and built it, and we're still doing some minor changes to it as it starts gaining momentum. Within a pretty short amount of time, they're already at, I think, $17,000 or $18,000 raised on WeFunder for community fundraising, crowdfunding, whatever you want to call it. And it's wefunder.com/Plaper. That's paper with an L in there. And make sure to go there and invest, and a little bit about what they are and what they do, and who they are, I should say, more importantly. I'm trying to find it, Wade. It's always hard when you're live to find stuff here. All right, so I don't see anything in our cheat sheet, so I'm going to go off my off the top of my head because there's no script on this show.
Do you want me to do it? I can say at Plaper, their mission, they're dedicated to designing toys that spark joy and promote learning and creativity through play. Their goal is to offer sustainable, recyclable toys that parents can feel good about, knowing they're making an environmentally conscious choice without compromising on fun quality.
Nailed. And what's great about it, it's all sustainable paper. There's no plastic. And they use like water-based, environmentally friendly colorings and inks and dyes, right, for the coloring on these toys. And Webb sent me the castle one, the castle and the king and all this stuff. And there's like horses and alligators and there's a moat. And my son had a blast with it. Actually built it with him, and it was not easy to build. Took about an hour to build out. My son was just, he's, at the time he was a year and a half when we built it. And he was just kind of watching. And then once I had it finished, it took me an hour to finish it with him. He completely destroyed it within 1 minute. Just boom, like that hour of work done. So that is our sponsor, Plaper. So, we're going to be bringing Webb on at the 45 mark. Also, make sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcast. So you go to Apple Podcast, please. We need to keep our number one spot. We're the number one rated CPG podcast in the world. Let's stay that way. Go to Apple Podcast, give us 5 stars, and also go to Spotify. We also have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@CPG Vibes. And if you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, make sure to email us cpgvibes100@gmail.com. We have a lot of sponsors that came in, including Robert Kogan, Powerful Energy Distribution. He got a bunch of shows, so he'll be joining us, or one of his brands will. Coming up here in the next couple weeks. So we have that. A couple brands, Wade, that I want to highlight here. Okay. They didn't send this to me, so I can't rub your face in it at all. I wish I could, because usually you've been zinging me the last couple weeks. Like you got the one up on me the last couple weeks. So I can't one up you this week though. But this one, Lark Ellen sprouted granola, grain free. Have you ever tried this?
I've not.
It's really good. It's $10 a bag, so it's bougie. It's bougie granola, boonola, whatever you want to call it. And they have a few different flavors. They have like a cherry cacao. They have a blueberry one, and then this one is vanilla, cinnamon. It's all sprouted, which is healthier for you, more bioavailable. So there's that. These guys actually sent me the product, but it was about a month ago. They sent me a bunch of bags. It's real cereal. I know you're probably seeing their posts, right, from Daniel or Tom
Yep.
on LinkedIn. So great, super simple cereal, organic rice crisps. And they have another one, which is organic corn flakes. Literally, I think each bag has one ingredient. This one is just organic brown rice puffs, and that is it, 100% organic. So that is real cereal. We also like to thank also our back banner sponsors, Melting Forest. We have Feel Free, and then Ginger Labs. And one spot is opening up. I know someone is looking to take that spot. So it's going to happen shortly. So if you'd like to take the spot, if you want to get in the running, please email us cpgvibes100@gmail.com. One other really big announcement, Wade, that I think I just told you. I think you found out like maybe 3 minutes ago. And but we collectively decided that we're going to be coming back to Expo West to do a live show.
Yeah.
And we are going to I'm looking here. I'm looking at my email, Here it is. We're going to be at the Melting Forest booth, but it's going to be in Hall E. Now, this year for Expo West, we're already talking about it, right? It's a month and a half away, so we can start talking about it.
We can. Still working through specifics, right? We know where we're going to be, but everything else we're figuring out, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we'll probably figure it out maybe that day, maybe an hour before the show. That's our style. So both the North Hall and the main hall open on Wednesday now. That's my understanding. So live, Kenny, of course, you're always welcome, my man. Always welcome. And go Bills. It's a big weekend for them. So Hall E, it's going to be in Hall E, and it'll be open on Wednesday. And we're going to do the show in the afternoon, probably 1 to 3, 2 to 4, 12. We're to figure that out, those details. But if you'd like to be on the show, there is no booking. There is no link. You literally walk up, smile and point at us, give us a little wink, and you will be brought on the show. We're going to pull you from the show floor and put you on a mic, and you can say whatever the hell you want as long as it's PG-13, I would say. So that's exciting, isn't it? Very
Absolutely. Cool. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And the Melting Forest booth is going to be decked out like crazy. Sean McDonald, the CEO, is going to put, flat screens with our logo on it. We're going to have our stand-up banner, of course. It's going to be it's a massive 10 by 20 booth, plenty of room. It was a little tight last year. It was great, but it was eye level was pretty tight. So this year it's going to be a lot bigger and even more fun. So make sure to stop by on Wednesday. We'll provide those details. Okay, so this episode is really all about just talking about, well, ask us anything, right? It's not us talking, it's you talking, and we answer your questions. So there's a lot of comments that are pouring in here, and we can just go through those comments and questions. I think, Wade, somebody posted on LinkedIn already.
I'm going to find.
You want to start that one?
Yeah, I'm going to find that one. That one was from our good friend, Hugh Curtis, with Butternut Mountain Farm, which, by the way, Hugh, I've been eating that you gave me and Andy when we met up a while back, the maple butter, and I've been eating that, and it's delicious. Absolutely delicious. Thank you. It's phenomenal. But Hugh said, here's a question for the show. We've seen some impressive acquisitions lately in CPG. Siete by PepsiCo, recently Spindrift being acquired by Griffin. Who do you feel is next? Who's positioned best and why? And I'm going to throw it to you, Alex, because I think you, with your crowdfunding and everything you're doing, what do you think? What do you see out there?
Let me clear my throat. Okay, so reference. So I would say it's a really good question, and I read it briefly this morning. So no preparation, right? We didn't prepare for any of these. We don't prepare for any of these questions, right? But we probably know the answer, or at least maybe can speculate on what the answer is. I would say, if this off the top of my head, without any preparation, that a hydration drink, I think, is going to be primed for not the brand Prime, right? I'm just using primed for an exit. There's a lot of these hydration drinks that are growing rapidly, and they're healthier, they're better for you. They're like kind of the better version of Gatorade. So like Liquid IV, right? Hydration, they exited, right, to Unilever. I think hydration, especially just, as people are working out more, people are getting more health conscious. There's more awareness around it, and people are looking for better options, and like a Gatorade or an electrolyte, a traditional electrolyte drink. So brands like Mela, I feel, are in a position to have an exit because of the product is great, the function is great, the branding is great, but most of all, the team is phenomenal. Dom and Nick and the rest of their team, they execute, and they're in so many convenience stores, liquor stores. They haven't really even hit a lot of, they're natural stores, but they really focus on these thousands of convenience stores. So I like the chances of something like Mela making it, or Lemon Perfect, one of those where they're, Lemon Perfect. I know at a year and a half ago, they were at 60 million in sales. They're probably approaching 100 million by now. I don't know their financials, but they're a hydration drink. It's tasty, it's simple, it's clean, it's better than a Gatorade, and people are using it for sports hydration. So I think sports hydration, there's going to be some kind of an exit there, and then I will follow it up with, in the next 5 years, there's also going to be another exit of a refrigerated bar as well. We can probably guess which one it's going to be if they continue on that path, like midday squares. But whether it's them, whether it's someone else in that category that's also surging, I think that's a popular space that is only getting more popular as convenience stores are now making room for these types of bars. And it's not only a Whole Foods thing or a Sprouts thing; it's going into natural, plus conventional, plus convenience and C stores, and also it's going into food service as well. And then I think the obvious one is Olipop. I'll end on that one. I don't even know if they're planning to exit in the next couple of years or keep growing it to above $1 billion, but they're obviously, without a doubt, they're going to exit. So Wade, what do you think?
I'm just gonna let you stick with those, and I don't know. I mean, I think if I was looking at categories, I think when I look at beverage, is probably one of the most the most difficult to predict, just because when you start talking about DSDs and the big boys, the blue and the red, and how challenging that space is. I think there's got to be a pretty significant story there and volume, and certainly Olipop fits that bill. I don't know. I mean, the refrigerated bar thing, speaking of who you probably should have asked that question last week, when we had one of the guys on the show, but I don't know that that's their overall strategy. I mean, to exit, I think, they're looking to go, and maybe, we've heard the words Mount Rushmore, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But I think, we've seen Kenny dropped in here, Simple Mills. We missed that one. The acquisition of Simple Mills, that was a big one too. But we've seen a salty snack. We've seen Simple Mills plays in the cracker and cookie space. We've seen, Spindrift with the water. I feel like there's probably some room elsewhere. TBD. Maybe I'll have a different opinion once I'm at Expo and kind of, forecast what I see there, as far as what the lay of the land is. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely a TBD. It's really promising and awesome to see that natural brands, more and more of them are exiting, and there's been a flurry of them, right, in the last month, right, from, like you said, Spindrift, Simple Mills, but all these brands, they're doing 200 million plus per year. So I think the window of revenue to get to an exit is a lot smaller now. It's like a tunnel. It's very, very narrow, where you have to be checking off a bunch of boxes. I think that acquirers are looking for brands that have been around 10 years plus in a lot of these cases, like highly proven, great velocity, ACV,
longevity,
well-known, longevity, solid profit margins, and also brands that have their own manufacturing is a plus, because they get the assets in the deal, and they can probably preserve pretty high margins if they're making it themselves versus going to a co-packer. Not always the case. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. And I know we're going to be walking the show. We'll be with V-Driven. We'll probably walk a little bit and see what's out there. And it's exciting to see that it's coming back, though. The acquisitions are happening again, but it looks like, these brands need to be over 100. They need to eclipse 100 million to start really getting the attention of these private equities and big conglomerate. So
I agree. I'll touch on Gavin's question here. And again, if you're in the chat, we've got a number of people in here. If there's a topic you'd like to talk about, throw it in here. We'll touch on it. So Gavin asked about my schedule versus previous buying schedules. Well, I've gone on record stating so many times that I didn't schedule meetings when I was I like to be free and walk around and certainly commit to some events after the show and whatnot. As far as my schedule upcoming, I expect to be as busy, if not busier. Actually having a meeting next week internally to discuss what our strategy is as a whole, as far as working through the itinerary of when we're coming in, when we're leaving. Certainly we have client dinners scheduled and meetings and and obviously going to be on the look for new brands and people that we potentially can work with. So I expect to be extremely busy, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody here and just to be back in it. I think for those of you listening, watching, or in the audience right now, I'm actually going to be at a show next week, Alex. That's the Chexpo, which is the event put on by Chex Finer Foods, which is one of the key distributors for the fresh market, and their show is in Rhode Island next week. So I'll be there for that show Tuesday and Wednesday next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I didn't get to Fancy Food or UNFI this week, but I get to go to Chexpo, so I'm excited about that. I have some good friends that work there, and also I know some people that are going to be attending that show, clients and otherwise. So looking forward to that next week.
awesome. Oh yeah, do you have a lot of roots there and made a lot of friends out there when you were with Fresh Market? So that's cool. So awesome. Have a good time.
I was going to say this is a good one here too. And I think it brings up a good point because we hear and see so much about alcohol-free, alcohol alternatives, non-alcoholics, mocktails, so on and so forth. And there's certainly some brands that are doing really well. As far as I know you've referenced Sprees, and I think Athletic is one of the popular non-alcoholic beer brands. Ration Ale is another one. And there's just countless brands in the space. And I think Gavin brings up a good point. I think that's a category that's probably right for the picking because just like I referenced Red and Blue in the DSD side for carbonated soft drinks, I think, when you start dealing with the big boys on the beer brands, just like you saw happen with craft beer was booming, craft beer was going. And they started acquiring some of these smaller breweries and craft breweries and local, and they started absorbing them. I think this is an excellent category that's ripe for the picking from an acquisition standpoint. As people shy away from the alcohol piece, those guys on their trucks, they're going to be looking for some options to fill those trucks up, as well as get some of those sales that are they're losing to these non-alcohol alternatives. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, non-alc, that's a category that I didn't really think of in answering the first question, but you're absolutely right. I still think it's in the not so much the infancy stage, but I think they're kind of in the third inning right now. Non-alc tried to have a moment, remember way back in the 90s, and it totally flopped. But now with the awareness around alcohol and how it could be damaging, right, especially with repeated use, a lot of people are going to social tonics or non-alc. And there's a distinction between those two, right? I think, there's brands like Hop Water, right? Or Hoplark Hop Tea, which, tastes kind of like beer. They're like a tea, but they have hops in it, but there's no alcohol in it. But they don't really have a function to make you feel loose and feel relaxed, right? But social tonics like Hayo, Feel Free, right? Our sponsor here on the back wall. Some of the others that you mentioned, there was one other where there's Kin Euphorics. That's another one.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount out there, and they're calling them social tonics. That's the category, right? That's been morphed into, right? So I think like social tonics branched off from non-alc as its own powerful category, and I heavily believe in that category. Like someone who's had anxiety in the past, and sometimes anxiety comes up, especially in social settings. If you can grab something that has ashwagandha and other functional ingredients to make you feel relaxed and make you feel good without the side effects of alcohol or the next day hangover, that's an amazing thing. And I can definitely say that, in having Hayo or Kin Euphorics, you feel it. too. That's what's important. It's like, it's not, it's not a, they're not a, what's the word for it? Snake oil salesman, right? They're selling something that actually works and you feel it within about 5 minutes. So I like that category, but I will say, Wade, it's still too early to tell. It's still too early
Well,
to tell.
and I put in one of our clients that's doing phenomenal right now, and that's Lalo, which is a kava beverage. To your point, that has some of those options. That to relax and make you feel good. And their social tonics right on their packaging. But I think going back, I don't know, it's probably on the show. Who knows? We've been doing this for 3 years, so it's hard to remember. But I know we've talked about this category over the years, and I know when I was at the fresh market, we were looking at space, and you were hearing this was the category, this was the boom, this was coming, right? And it was there, but I wasn't seeing retailers, competitors, and just dedicating a ton of space. Everyone was talking about how this category is booming, but you weren't seeing it from a excuse me, from a merchandising standpoint. And you'd see it for dry January, you'd see it for sober October, but from a real estate standpoint, on shelf, you weren't seeing that dramatic impact. And I think that's starting to change very quickly, and especially, again, we're in dry January again now, but if you go into Total Wine, they've got huge sections devoted to
Mhm.
the category. We didn't bring up CBD and THC and all those things, but those are becoming more and more relevant and prevalent in the retailers. Again, using Total Wine as a reference, I know they're selling. They have they're famous for their singles with their beer assortment that you can kind of mix a 6-pack or something like that. They have the same thing now available on the other side with this THC, CBD, and those drinks. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to come, and I think what we're waiting to see, right, is you reference, there's a lot of players out there, but who's going to lead the pack, right? It's like the race
Mhm.
just started. Who's going to be at the front? Who's going to win the Kentucky Derby, right? Who's going to be the front runner, like Olipop and so on. So
Yep.
time will tell, but I think that's a category that's a good one, Gavin. I like that.
Which one for social tonics, right? Because there's a comment here from Jeff Lakowski in 2023 non-alc, which again, non-alc is big now because there's even alcohol companies that are saying, oh, non-alc version, but you taste the hoppiness. And, then you have rationale, you have hop water, you have hop tea. But for social tonics, separating just the non-alc into just social tonics, which one do you think would lead the pack? Like in a year, 2 years, which one do you think will emerge as as that kind of go-to brand?
Well, I'm kind of biased because they're a client, but Lalo they're doing it, but again, they have Kava, right, and
Yeah.
it's unique, and it's on fire. It's doing really, really well, and I think that's going to be up there. Kenny used to get it when he was living in Oahu. And I think there's an educational component there as well, as far as understanding it and whatnot. And Alex, this, you're in California, the Kava, the Kava, what cafes, bars, whatever they call them, they're
Everywhere.
popping up
They're
everywhere.
popping up.
So I
Yeah.
feel like if I was betting on some horses, I think that one would be near the top, just because I feel pretty good about that. So how
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I mean, look at, brands like Feel Free, they have Kava and they have Kratom. Kratom's a little controversial, but I think the combination of sustainable, clean, pure leaf Kratom with Kava,
Hmm.
that's also becoming popular. And actually Feel Free has emerged as a leader in
Yep.
this category. I mean, they do, you know, uh, let's just say they're above 100 million in revenue. I'll leave it at that. The velocity is great. The use of it, you just take half a bottle at a time, and within a day you take maybe the entire bottle, like half for now, half for later. So the consumption rate is high, right, on it. People have it as a ritual, every day, every other day when they wake up or when they're hitting that mid-afternoon slump. So I agree with you, like that category of kava kratom is really growing. One thing that and I see Kenny here used to get in Oahu. Yeah, it's available Fiji Islands. It's in Hawaii, kava bars all over Hawaii. This comment here, switching gears, Jason Smith, dips and spreads, bitchin' sauce, graza, Ithaca hummus. The only difficulty with that is that people don't usually, unless they're really hungry, they don't finish it all in one shot, right? It's not like a drink. It's not like a bar. It's not like a bag of Siete chips, unless it's a jumbo size or something, where it could take 4 or 5 days, right, to finish that tub or that little jar of whatever the sauce is, the hummus. So the velocities, at least from what I can understand from looking at data, are not going to be as high. Those velocities and turnover rates with the units, right? However, Ithaca is a great brand. I buy it all the time, and I love Ithaca hummus.
Mm-hmm.
But I think him specifically, he has his own facility, I believe, from what I can remember. I think he does. He wants to maintain control, at least for now, and build it sustainably. Bitchin' sauce, same thing. They just want to keep building, 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 because company value goes a long way, right? Going into M&A type stuff. Like if you build a valuable company that's profitable, that's sustainable, that has great velocities, great coverage, you don't have to go looking for someone to buy you. They're going to be looking for you and knocking on your door.
Right.
Graza is one that I really like. Graza. There's something about it. I mean, the drizzle, it's they were the first to, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Wade, to like convert olive oil from not just something to cook with, but something to top with, right?
Yeah. Right.
And
Right.
their branding's great. It just jumps out of you on the shelf when you go to any stores. Graza, I think, has a very high potential, good potential, I should say, of reaching that promised land if that's what they want to do. Because I'm just a big fan of it, and they came out of nowhere, it seems, and now
Well,
they're
it's huge, and everybody knows it now. And then they also, I want to get back to the dip thing in a minute, but
sure.
Graza also came out with the chips, the co-branding chips. I don't know if those are an everyday item, if those were a one-off, or what they are. They're still, from what I can see, it looks like they're still available on their website. So that whole thing was interesting. Bitching sauce. Or bitchin, I should say, is one of the things that's unique that I've seen, that they're coming out with some innovation in squeezable bottles. I don't know if you've seen that, but they have, I think, 2 or 3 SKUs now in Whole Foods with their squeezable bottles. They've got the sriracha, the creamy garlic, and the original. So they're touting it not just as a dip, but also, that you can squeeze it out and put it on your salad or snack, whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
And they've always been really strong, and Ithaca, I know Jason, great guy, great product, just great branding, and I love what they're doing. But what I would tell you is, from a velocity standpoint, some of those numbers would surprise you. And the one that Jason didn't mention, outside of Ithaca and Bitchin, is the Majestic garlic. That's have you seen this? This is really probably a local thing in California, but I was dumbfounded with the velocities of this stuff that we sold at Jimbo's when I was there. I mean, literally, just cases and cases velocity per week. It was
What
just
what
insane.
what is it?
It's a garlic dip. It's a garlic,
Okay.
like, it's just like it's much in the same category, but their velocities were absolutely insane. And I know, we shifted distributors. I'm not going to name names on, who we went from one to the other, but I know that initial transition was extremely challenging, because the distributor that we were with, had it buttoned up. They knew what our velocity was. The product was there. And when we switched, the new distributor had trouble maintaining that, just understanding, I think, to your point, that, okay, this is what this category's move and what's going on, so on and so forth. And it was like, no, you don't understand. This is crazy. And so
Mm.
I don't know if that's has widespread appeal, because I don't know if I go in any local market around here that I can actually find a garlic dip, but I know,
Mhm. Mhm.
that one in particular. And if I'm not mistaken, it's local to Southern California, like Marietta or Temecula, somewhere up there. But just fabulous velocity. So you should look that one up, and you can definitely get it around your area, Alex. And Jeff mentioned Haven's Kitchen, which I love. I love Allie. You talk about some great people. Her branding is on point. What she's doing is unique. I can't say enough good things about her. Her podcast is great. So if you haven't checked that out, you should definitely check out Haven's Kitchen. Some remarkable products they're making, and just some unique things, in categories that, refrigerated sauces and condiments. And I know she's playing with some shelf stable things as well. So
Mm.
there's a lot there.
Yeah, I definitely want to catch up with Allie because she made a really big push on the pouches that are shelf stable that you just talked about. I know she launched them and had a happy hour at Expo West in the North Hall. I remember that we talked for a while, and she's a wonderful, as you said, wonderful human being. So the other thing that was mentioned early on, I'm going to scrounge this one up and bring it back to the forefront,
Mm.
is from Barney Stature. Welcome to our show. I think he's at least first time, long time, maybe one of those guys, because I haven't seen his name yet in the feed. Have you? I haven't seen it.
Just today.
Just today.
Welcome, Barney.
So
Welcome, Barney.
welcome. And if it's your first time on, thank you for being on and being a part of the community and the show. Make sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcast. I always can never resist that. So, adoption of AI tools. Let's take a little swig here. It's just water, folks. So with AI tools, excuse me, something stuck in my throat. So with AI tools, I feel that with deduction management and with order cadence, right? There's a lot of things that AI can be used for, but I feel like the two immediate areas are going to be deduction management, a combination of, human oversight, right, with AI, and also order cadence, especially with the big boys, the big national distributors. And I don't even have to convince you of that, Wade, from you,
Right.
from the buying side, where when you have thousands of items and you're ordering and you're looking at velocity, you're looking at promotions, you look at, it's very hard, no matter how you could be the best buyer, purchasing manager in the world. It's freaking impossible, Wade, to be like, oh, okay, bitch and sauce, they're on promo for 3 weeks. How was the last promo? How was the one before that? What's the historical data? How much should I order based off the season? Like there's like many different variables, right, which factor the velocity success and how much a buyer should order to make sure there's no out of stock issues, right?
Right.
So going to an AI type of mechanism, if you will, or system, I should say, would be, I think, amazing in the buying world, in the purchasing world, where it would prevent a lot of out of stocks. It would, I think, green light items faster to get them on shelf that are brand new. It would discontinue items faster to make room for new items coming in. I think that is an area, like if I had to pinpoint it, that there's been many mistakes, oversights, out of stock issues, and that a lot of that can be corrected with an AI tool. So what do you think?
Well, I agree with what you said. What I would say is, I can speak for myself. I use AI on a daily basis. I see Joe's in the chat, and he mentions using ChatGPT. Recently, I'd say in the last 2 weeks, we're a Google work as far as our Gmail and all of our Google Sheets, docs, and all that stuff. Their AI capabilities with Gemini.
Gemini, yeah.
Well, it's popped up like as a add-on for their workforce. It's not shown up on my personal email, but on my work email, it's shown up, and where it's summarizing. And now if I'm using Google Meets, we've always, as a company, we've always used like Otter AI as a note taker and summarizing meetings and things like that. But the integration with Gemini into meetings, it works fabulously because you can transcribe, you can record, and then it automatically in your calendar, which is for somebody that has 15 meetings a day, you can go back to your calendar at this given time, and if you transcribe the notes, the notes are attached to the invite in the email. So like when I go back and say who I talked to at Tuesday at 3:00, I pull up that meeting, the transcription notes are right there attached to it with the summary. It's just absolutely amazing what it's doing. So I could go on all day, but I know we have to bring our guest on. I wanted to talk about Kenny's question real quick. For me, as far as since moving the other side of the desk, how have I applied my knowledge? That's debatable. As retail buyer and executive and assisting clients. And I think for me, Kenny, I think the biggest thing, is certainly looking at it, projecting a lens of my previous roles and experience as far as, what that reality looks like. And the daily example that I use literally daily, in not every meeting, but certainly when it makes sense, but absolutely every day, is just understanding, because what we do as an organization is working with emerging brands and focusing so much of our attention on brands that have very little distribution or just getting started and have a long road ahead of them, is to educate and to explain the whole process with regards to the timeline and the roadmap. And the example that I always use is that if you present your product to me or my team today, now, it's 4 to 6 months before it's on shelf. If we like it, if you present it to me today and I love the product and I want to bring it in, it's 4 to 6 months until it's on. And you'd be shocked, Alex, how many times you see eyes bulging out.
Yeah.
And then I can explain, again, answering Kenny's question with regards to how I'm using that knowledge is like, obviously my resume, there's obviously a lot of experience there, but being able to say, for a chain like the Fresh Market with presence in 22 states, the opening up of multiple distribution centers and the paperwork involved with that, and logistics and supply chain, and then the internal processes with regards to planograms and updating those, and shelf tags and everything that needs to be done. I think so many times when you're talking about a broker relationship or a sales relationship, whatever the case may be, the thought is, okay, I'm paying somebody tomorrow. Right now, we signed the contract. I want results, right? And it's like, I'm using my experience to really educate that roadmap as far as what the runway looks like, and trying to project a realistic timeline of when you can expect to see success on shelf. Because, we say it a zillion times, crawl, walk, run. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And without that education and understanding of how it works, there's a lot of, not delusion, but just a lot of misconceptions with regards to the process. So that's how I would answer that, Kenny. We'll catch up more later, but that's the biggest thing that I do on a daily basis. So
Gotcha. No, very well said. All right. So our sponsor for this episode, as mentioned, is Plaper. And they have a WeFunder campaign, which I have locked and loaded. They're at $16,900. And that's pretty impressive, right? Because they really just started getting going. And I'll put the link up here in the chat. And there it is. There's Plaper.com, which is their website. If you like to buy something for your children, even for adults, it's fun. Like I'm telling you, like it's challenging and it's a lot of fun. And their tagline that we go by here on WeFunder is reimagining kids' toys for a more sustainable future. And the product's amazing. The entrepreneur is amazing. Founder and CEO Webb Knutson. We're going to bring him on right now to talk about what he does and his background. Webb, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
Right on. So I just want to go, usually we start with the story. We start with who you are. I like to start with the WeFunder campaign. I want to front load that. What was the reason why you launched it? What is the money going to be used for? Tell us more about about your campaign.
For sure. Yeah. Happy to jump into that. So the WeFunder campaign, part of why we felt like it was important to raise funds on WeFunder is because consumers are really who we feel gets Plaper. And sometimes investors don't see toys quite as much as a space to invest in. But our customers love us. Our customers love our product. And so we wanted to open it up to the customers, to consumers who really love our product and love our brand. And so we felt like it was important to really open it up to a broader audience than just investors and people who really are smitten by our product.
Yeah. And it makes such a difference for the kids. I mean, I think, like my son watching me build it again, he was too young to build it himself. Right. But what kind of age group was this recommended for, where a child can start really building it on their own and understanding how the pieces fit? Like, what have you seen?
Yeah. And remind me, your son is 1.5 or 2?
When we built it, he was around 1.5. Now
Okay.
He's a little over 2 years old.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, he was definitely young for it.
Very, very young.
Which, I appreciate you introducing him to it. But
he destroyed it more than building it. So
yeah, well, I hope he enjoyed that as well. But 3 to 8 is really our core demo, and I would say 3 to 4-year-olds are probably going to need a little bit of help from mom and dad or whomever to build it. 5 and 6-year-olds can do a lot of the building process on their own. 7, 8-year-old definitely can do it all on their own. But I actually have 4 kids myself: 3-year-old, 6-year-old, boy girl twins, and a 9-year-old. And my 6-year-olds can do it all on their own, and my 9-year-old can definitely do it all on his own. But my 3-year-old definitely needs some help with the building process. But I'll just say that I think that having a little bit of challenge in the build is a good thing. There's been a lot of discussion within the toy space around this concept of resilience and building more resilient kids. And so having a build process that kind of helps develop that resilience is a good thing in my opinion, and kind of figuring out how to navigate the building process. But we do like to say that the build itself is fun and not frustrating, and the assembly mechanics. You're showing the product there, but this is a tree which basically slots together. It's just a tongue and groove slot together mechanic. You actually get a nice little click sound when you bring it together, which can be really satisfying. And here's the tree that I was showing there. You just snap it together, and like I said, 5 and 6 year olds, great building process for that age demo.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think Wade, he has the eyes of like, I want to get my hands on this and build it with Renee. Forget the kids. This is for the adults.
It's really fun.
The other thing is it's cool. It's also addressed on the WeFunder page, is the IKEA effect about it, which I thought was very interesting. Tell us more about, what is that about, the IKEA effect?
Yeah, it's just the idea that you value those things more that you build yourself. There's a bunch of studies that show that things you build yourself, whether that's furniture, toys, whatever, you are more likely to place higher value on those items. And so we thought it was really important with Playper to really get the people buying the product to build it themselves. And when kids build something, they want to hold on to it for longer. They want to display it proudly on their shelves. They really value it more. So that's really an important part of who we are at Playper. The building process is important to us.
Awesome. Cool. I think you covered a lot of bases. Again, I'm re-emphasizing his page is live. His campaign is live. And the beauty of WeFunder, you can be unaccredited for, I think, a minimum of $100, right, or more. You can invest and become a shareholder in a note holder and eventually a shareholder in Playper. So make sure to go to WeFunder.com/Playper, PLAYPER. Webb, anything else you'd like to mention before you head out? I know you have some plans coming up.
No, well, let me just mention, a couple of quick things. The material we use is very durable. So we call it Playper board. It's a rug on one side, pond on the other. On this item that I'm holding up here, you can bend it. It's flexible. It's got a nice matte finish to it. It feels really good in your hand. It's got a water-based coating that you can spill liquid, ketchup, whatever on it, and wipe it right off. The other thing I'll mention is a lot of the items are very interactive. Here's a catapult that can actually... Here, I'll grab one of the gnomes here. This is not a weapon, but a mode of transportation, I like to say. The little gnome characters, you launch them like that. They launch really high. And then on the castle, you can see there's a drawbridge door that opens and closes, a trap door, a lot of opportunities for the characters to peek out through the windows. It's really got a lot of fun interactive features to make it great for pretend imaginary play, which as a dad of 4 young kids, that is what I love seeing my kids do. Like the pretend imaginary play that the kids do is just such an awesome aspect of being a kid, and the play value from all that is incredible. So, and then the other thing I'll just mention real briefly is we really value the characters and stories behind everything. Everything that we do is based on unique characters with fun names: King Ketchup, Snuffles the Dragon, Ollie the Ogre, Princess Petunia. They've all got unique, fun personality traits and backstories behind them, and that's really an important part of who we are as well. Me and my 2 co-founders have Disney backgrounds, and we really value the characters and stories behind everything that we do.
Yeah, and one other thing, and wait, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I just said love it. I love it. It's very I see Jeff comment about the catapult. I think we have several people in the chat that would be interested in having fun with the catapult. That's for sure.
It's fun.
Yeah.
If there was a larger size, I'd use that to skip over all the traffic in LA. The landing wouldn't be good, but at least in the air, I would feel good passing all the cars. One other thing that you did not mention, because you're very humble, you're very, very humble, Webb, is your team. And if you go to WeFunder.com/Playper, again, paper with an L in it, his team it's like the dream team. These are individuals that know what they're doing beyond Webb, and him being a father of 4, right, and him coming from the private equity financial space as well. And his chief product officer is Michael Sala, VP of design of Spin Master, 7 years. I'm just reading it off WeFunder. Mattel for 4 years, project designer. Chief inspirational officer at Fisher Price for 7 years. Product designer at Lego for 3 years. And he did all the Star Wars Lego sets. Oh, maybe get that out of the way. Toy designer at Toys R Us. So that's one of his team members. That's just one. That's Michael Sala. There's Susie Lecker, who's an advisor and board member and investor. She's the chief brands officer at Mattel. And it goes on and on and on. So, you're investing, I feel like, in many different things. You're investing in Webb individually. You're investing in his team, in the mission of sustainable and also removing plastic, right, from our supply chain for toys, and also just promoting more of a bonding experience with the parent and the child. So I think there's a lot of good reasons to invest in Plaper.
Yeah, no, thanks for highlighting the team. We're really proud of the team that we've assembled. Michael, former toy designer, Lego, Mattel, Spin Master, etc. And Susie, like you mentioned, former chief brands officer at Mattel and was also at Spin Master. Some of our investors include the former CEO of Fisher Price, former CEO of Dell Computers, former CEO of J. Crew, and just a really talented team of both operators, advisors, investors around the table. So I feel very fortunate to have assembled the team that I have.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Well, thank you for joining our show. Again,
Sure.
One more time, wefunder.com/Plaper, or if you'd like to purchase any of these items, I think it's plaper.com, right?
Yeah.
And just to clarify, it's like play with paper. So PLAYPER. Just want to make sure spelling's right there. But yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yep.
That is true. Yeah, that's definitely not paper with an L. I was not correct on that one. Thanks for correcting.
All good. Yeah.
So make sure to go there, buy it for your children, buy it for yourself. Wade, buy it for you and Renee.
Absolutely.
Make sure to invest. So Webb, we'll get you on your way. I know you got some plans today, but thank you for joining us and thank you for sponsoring CPG Vibes.
Thanks,
For
Webb.
sure. Thanks for having me on.
Take care.
You guys.
Okay. All right. I'm glad he clarified that. Wow. So, okay. So we're kind of reaching the end of our episode here. Are there any other quick questions to answer here in the chat? Did we miss anything?
I don't think so, Alex.
Go Bills.
Big games this weekend. Big, and I am on board with Kenny. I am rooting for Kenny's team this weekend.
Yeah, I'd like to see Bills and Eagles because my father spent many years in Philadelphia. He went to Temple, and I'd love to see the Bills versus the Eagles. The Chiefs have had their time in the limelight, and I think it's time for someone new to step in.
I'm kind of excited about I'm not to contradict you. I'm rooting for the Bills, but I'm kind of excited about the Commanders just because the story is great with the rookie quarterback, and he just had a great year. So I'm kind of the underdog, but if I was a betting man, I'd bet on the Eagles. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm rooting for Kenny's team the rest of the way because I support Kenny and because it's the one closest to home for me from Ohio. So, but Alex, we'd be remiss if we didn't. We have to talk about the prize, right? What we're giving away today.
Yep, and I want to also mention that as far as the booth that we're going to be at, we're going to mention this many, many times. It's going to be booth 5719 in Hall E in the Melting Forest booth. So, and that's going to be on Wednesday, March 5th, correct? If I have my dates correct.
Sounds right.
And that Wednesday, the opening day, it's going to be in the afternoon time. TBD. We'll announce it here. I'm sure we'll have flyers all over the place. We'll pass out at the show. Okay, so our prize. So this is the interesting thing is that I don't see one in our cheat sheet.
I don't either.
That's why you're just like, Alex, what is it? You're asking me. This proves we don't prepare for shit on the show. Like we don't even know what our prize is. So I'm gonna take the liberty here to make the prize the castle set from Plaper. We can do that because even for adults, it's fun to build. Let's say you can pick between the castle or the catapult, one of the two. Okay, because I know some people like the catapult here in the audience, and then Webb can send that out to you. So I'll take a bigger liberty. I'll say first answer gets to pick. Second answer gets to pick.
Oh, you're giving
whatever.
2. You're giving 2 away. Wow.
Giving 2 away.
Wow. You are taking liberties.
Full liberty, probably Webb. I'll get a call from Webb later. Like, you did what? No, you'll be fine with it. So one's going to be the castle. Other one's going to be the catapult. 2 winners. First 2 answers on the board. Family Feud. Here we go.
Question? Do you have a question?
I do.
That's the real. Okay, cool.
I do have a question.
Okay.
What is the answer? Let's see. All right. Are we going to get copyright infringement for Schwarzenegger? We'll see. Probably. I heard you on CPG Vibes talking in my voice. That is expressed written consent to Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right. So here is the. I should be doing that more often on the show. What brand was so to win either a catapult or castle, your choice, from Playper, Playper. What is the brand that Wade was talking about? That's a dip at Jimbo's. That's wildly popular.
Wow. I assume it still is, but hopefully
it was and is. Yeah.
I'm assuming it still
is. Present tense.
Okay. We're waiting for that. And Alex, you want to tell about next week real quick?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So next week, it's going to be the Master Series. That is January 31st.
Part 2 for this group, right?
Part 2. So, so it's volume 5, but it's a reunion of these 3 individuals. So it's Jeff Church, who's advisor, investor. He was a CEO of Suja, which grew to over 100 million. There's the answer from Derek. So you got the first. Not bitching. So if anyone just types in what Derek typed in,
I was going to say
you'll win. You'll win. Now it's just speed. It's not about knowledge. It's just about speed.
Exactly.
So it's going to be the Master Series. He keeps on mentioning bitch and sauce. Like, come on, Gavin, you can just type it in. You'll win. You have 2 twins. Eventually, they're going to want to build this with you, maybe in 3 years. So Jeff Church, Max Dichter, who is a CEO of Fourth and Heart, and John Foraker, the CEO of Once Upon a Farm. So it's the CEOs coming together to talk about CPG on our Master Series. Gavin got it. Congratulations. All right.
But Kenny says Gavin will choke on the pieces.
Yeah. Just Gavin, just know it's not edible. I'm sure if you ate it, it would be safe because it's all water-based, no chemicals, or no harmful chemicals. But yeah, enjoy Gavin. I'm wondering if Gavin can even build it. I guess we'll find out.
He can.
I think he can. He can. I'm giving him shit.
So Derek and Gavin email cpgvibes100@gmail.com
to claim your prize. I think Gavin should bring the finished castle set to Expo West and display it for us just to prove it out.
Nice.
So next week, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock Eastern, it is the Master Series with Jeff Church, Max Dichter, and John Foraker. It's going to be it's going to be a great, great show. So make sure to tune in. Please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And also, if you'd like to sponsor us, cpgvibes100@gmail.com. Wade, take care, buddy.
You too. See you next week.
See you, everyone.